On this season of The It Factor,
what I know from both my parents is that there was always a responsibility to use your gifts. And what I knew from them is that your blessings had to flow through you to bless other people, right? You couldn't hoard the blessings.
You come with such style, such grace, elegance, and intellect. And I don't know which one goes first because they're all important. Now, you know I'm a kid in the candy store sitting there with you because I've admired you for so long. I mean, long before we met. I mean, just all of, and we'll talk about the TV shows and all that, but the civil rights piece of you. You know, you and I had an opportunity to sit in the back of a van.
We did.
For, 2 hours, so 4 hours and talk and say, but I got an opportunity to talk a lot to you about the civil rights piece in Thurgood.
Yes.
Tell me what he meant to you and why you are who you are today. Look, I'm so excited today. I'm a kid in the candy store. I laid my clothes out the night before, like we used to do for church on Sundays. And I could not wait to interview a national treasure, a lady who has inspired so many, including me. I have the luxury of sitting down with my friend, my mentor, the Honorable Judge Glenda Hatchett.
Gonna make me cry.
I couldn't wait. I laid, you remember how your parents on Saturday night say, what are you wearing to church on Sunday?
We wearing to church.
And you lay it out.
Lay it all
out.
Oh, I remember. Oh, how
I was up before the alarm clock went off today because I couldn't wait to come and talk to you.
You're going to make me cry.
It's the truth. It's the truth. Let's just jump right in.
Okay.
Where did it all begin? And I'm talking about the parents because, where did it all begin? Because you are such a conscious, one of my favorite quotes says, "It is the responsibility of the conscious to make the unconscious conscious of the unconscious behavior." Where did all that consciousness come from with you?
My family.
Okay.
My dad.
Okay.
In particular. And I often say, Hank, that I have been blessed that my hero was within reach. I didn't have to read about him or her. I didn't have to look on TV. My father was fully present in my life. Died very suddenly 25 years ago, but his handprints are all over me. And what I know from both my parents is that there was always a responsibility to use your gifts. And what I knew from them is that your blessings had to flow through you to bless other people, right? You couldn't hoard the blessings. And my parents didn't have any money. They didn't have money. But when I took the oath of office, when I became a judge, what I said very clearly is that I come from a wealthy family in a way that you can't measure that kind of wealth because my father, had he had the opportunity, just a fraction of the opportunities I've had, Hank would have been on the U.S. Supreme Court.
Wow.
He's a brilliant man who grew up in LaGrange, Georgia, Troup County, Georgia, at a time where the world didn't value him. And so although he had worked on his MBA at AU, he spent most of his professional career at the post office under the supervision of white men who had GEDs.
Wow.
And what I knew and learned from him was that strength of being very clear about who he was. Finally, by the time I went to finish college, he got an opportunity to work for the Department or the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, but never was appreciated for who he was because he lived in a time of segregation. So, quick story. My father was one of 3 children that my grandmother and grandfather had. My grandfather died when my dad was 3, right? In the white man's army, that if he had been white, he would have been treated. He died.
Celebrated.
and celebrate. But he died from a curable disease that they left untreated in the army, that he was serving this nation. He died from tuberculosis, right? When my father was 3, so my grandparents had, Uncle Miles was 5, my dad was 3, and Uncle Fred was only a year old. And my grandmother raised those 3 black men. Do you hear me? And my father walked from the old Clark, then college campus over on Pryor Street, all the way to the Piedmont Driving Club. He would catch the trolley. He would catch the trolley. I take that back. He'd catch the trolley to work. He'd go to class, take the trolley to work. Then he would work all evening into the night, and the trolleys wouldn't run by the time he got off. He would walk, Hank. He would walk from Piedmont. What's that, 7, 8, maybe 8 miles?
Easy.
Every night. He would go to bed, get up, go to class, study, and do it all over again, because all 3 of my grandmother's sons were at Clark at the same time.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
And there wasn't money. Now, my grandmother went to Spelman, but she worked all of her life as domestic because the world didn't value.
You are their dream. You're their dream. You're the reason that they worked so hard.
Yes. And I never forget that.
Wow.
And I'm clear about the sacrifices. I mean, you know, my mother worked her way through Claflin, graduate top of her class, one of 9 children, would have been a pediatrician. That was her dream. But instead, she went back home to help her family, and she taught school. And so I am very, very conscious of my roots, where I came from, the shoulders I stand on. And I am always celebrating that, you know, and really trying to live my life in a way that they will be proud of.
You're doing that. I mean, first of all, you know you made it when people Wikipedia you. I didn't just Google you. I was able to Wikipedia. And when I think back, and I was looking at all of the awards and the log. So your mom, let's go back to her, because she's still just,
she's a character.
Is vibrant.
97 years old.
97 years old.
Right.
And she is truly it.
She is it.
She's it.
She's it now. She is it.
So do you think, because you come with such style, such grace, elegance, and intellect. And I don't know which one goes first, because they're all important. Did it come from Mom?
Yes, a lot of it came from Mother. My mom is the fire.
Okay.
My dad was the anchor.
Okay.
Right? And so my mother, I tell my kids now, you should have known her when she was in her 30s, right? But she was just a fireball. But I think that the fire comes from my mother in terms of, very running at a zillion miles an hour. The calmness, when I can be calm, I really can't be, comes from my dad, because you would have loved him like you, very polished, very, just always intentional about his presence and how he came across. And he may not have had but one pair of shoes, but they were going to be shining, man. It may not have but one suit, but it was going to be pressed. And so that part of it comes from his influence. The determination and the fire and the comes from my mother, because she is just one of 9 children, and my grandparents had 6 daughters. And she was the youngest, and I realized that she had to kind of stand up and stand tall just to be heard.
Now, I'm a kid in the candy store sitting here with you, because I've admired you for so long. I mean, before we met. I mean, just and we'll talk about the TV shows and all that, but the civil rights piece of you. You and I had an opportunity to sit in the back of a van.
We did.
For, 2 hours, so 4 hours, and
Yeah.
talk and say. But I got an opportunity to talk a lot to you about the civil rights piece in Thurgood.
Yes.
Tell me what he meant to you and why you are who you are today.
Yes, I just a hero of the civil rights movement and the legal community. And as a young colored girl growing up in the Deep South, my father was an avid reader, and and my parents both set a standard of excellence for us in the home, and so I was conscious of what was happening, even though I was very young, about what was happening, and so I really made it a point to try to be a civil rights legal scholar. And as we walk around today, I'm going to show you that wall. But Thurgood Marshall, I don't know that people truly appreciate the depth of who he was and what he meant to this country, because he started out as a young lawyer for the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. And one of the pictures that you'll see is Justice Marshall, as a young lawyer, literally working on the brief for the Brown versus Board of Education case. It's a rare photo that Skip Mason, who's a historian, has put together for me, because I said, Skip, I want to do it right. I want to get it right. And so then he became the first U.S. solicitor for the United States before he was appointed to the U.S. Supreme Court. But the battles that went on and the stories that he has about getting on a train and going down to try to defend somebody, and the sheriff coming and saying, when it gets dark, you better be on that, you better not be here after dark. And just how often these men and women put their lives on the line time and time and time and time again. And so we have got to do a better job of preserving history. And I will tell you that in October, because you and I have got to go, I'm going to get on your calendar, there is going to be a discussion, but then February of 2021, the Arc of Justice Project is going to be unveiled, and it is going to be this chronicle about all of these civil rights legends and all of these legal cases that we must know and we must understand. But for them, we wouldn't be sitting here.
So you, and you just hit the key, because you get it, because you understand we can march all day long, but really the battles are won in the courtroom. Am I correct?
They are won in the courtroom. They are won in the courtroom. And, people remember Brown versus Board, but there are a whole gamut of cases that
set precedent too, right? Am I right?
Right, exactly. Set precedent, and that affect our ability to vote, our ability to be employed, our whole thing about discrimination against women and all kinds of disabilities, and whether you're gay or you're straight, all of those battles have been fought in courtrooms.
Before we go on break, we have a special performance by Mother, the Creator.
I am what America made. I say hood to the soldiers in the back that still ain't getting paid for this PTSD that they gifted to we. They didn't tell us that was a part of the all you can be. Nor did they tell us the American dream comes with some depression and a need to feed an obsession that turns into greed. They didn't tell us it'll come at the price of our seeds. 14 hours away a day on your feet, and we still ain't got enough to make these ends meet. They probably didn't tell you your house wasn't gonna be worth spit, 'cause you bought it on that street where the red line speaks louder than the blood that seeps from underneath a sheet of that example they made of that brown boy's body. Probably thinking the aggression is just coming from the stressing. Lessen your trust in this system. Question the role of who pushes this poison medicine is in our water. And child support owns our fathers, and our daughters are the closest thing that we got to help. So early on, she is trained to lighten the strain of the weight of the pressure on mommy's chest. And it's not 'cause daddy left, because mentally, he's always been gone. and she's always been strong. But there's no black superwoman over here. No. Just a woman running from the fear of breaking. Not like Turbo and Ozone, but more like Kanye once Donda was gone. Or like how welfare did our homes. Broken like that. Ransacked. Broken like lack. Broken like crack. Broken like black and blue ribs to remind her from where she came. Although I've never seen a man endure the pain of birthing a woman, especially not in a relationship. Most men have a hard time accepting a little lip from a mouthy woman, let alone a period of postpartum. Pardon my diction, my intuition has me tripping and rejecting this crooked system and the mindsets that go with it. They say toxic masculinity has a direct link to white supremacy, with black toxic femininity propping it up. So forgive me, propaganda got me full. See, I'm trying to hold down at this point everything I've been force-fed my whole life, learning how to be a whole wife when all I've ever been trained to do is be a victim. And the truth, I will spit it, but if it don't convict them, what good does it do? What hoods have you grew? Oh, the things that we never knew, like who in this world is you? No, really, like who in this world is you? You know, I told a brother I was God. He looked at me crazy like I was odd, say, girl, you got some nerve thinking you can talk like that. He say, don't you know that we's black? I say, man, brother, don't you know we under attack? I say, why do you think it's been like that though, huh? You still thinking it's something that we lack, Henrietta? The devil's foot has been on our back, perhaps because all along they knew the power of our songs. And they knew the power of our psalms. And they knew the power of these palms. We built this place. Then we're told we can't participate. They took a head start, now they let us in the race, still trying to convince us that we are the inferior race. When the truth is, it's only a human race. And we got all the hue. Now trace our lineage in this country. We didn't all get off slave ships. As Moana discovered, we were explorers, cultivating an entire civilization just like we did in Egypt. Free trip down memory lane. Keep looking at me like I'm insane. See, the stuff we've been believing is what's really strange. We waste time putting blame on each other instead of utilizing our lane, but you see, that was a part of the game. Slavery was about making us inhumane so they could justify mistreatment. And I will testify all of the reasons, but I need protection in this season. When a queen speaks pain, she just be needing a king that can step up and add a little seasoning to the truth she be sprinkling. So the enemy don't be thinking she ain't got nobody behind her that's ready for war. War.
So, Judge, what case brought you this, made you the saddest? What case, you knew the outcome was not what it should have been or needed to have been?
On the bench or after?
Either or.
Probably when I made the decision to step beyond the bench.
Okay.
There are some when I was on the bench, but I want to talk to you about Glenda.
Okay.
Castile, and of course there have been so many police shootings. I'll have to just give you the 10-second refresh for the audience to understand that this is the one where the girlfriend live streamed the police shooting and killing the boyfriend while her 3-year-old little girl sat on the back seat watching all of this. So I know that I'm a really strong woman, but I will tell you, Hank, one of the most difficult things I've ever done in my life was to walk into that morgue and see his body just torn apart by bullets. This young, wonderful black man who literally was age-wise, was right between my two sons. And so when I went to see his mother for the first time, I flew in. And of course, that was just a couple of months after my daughter had tragically died. And I didn't know that I had the strength to do this case. I really didn't. And it was really Charles, the one who lost his wife. I mean, I say my daughter.
I'm with you.
Because I don't call her daughter-in-law.
She's your daughter.
She's my daughter.
Right.
Tragically died needlessly after giving birth to their second child. And Charles said, And both Charles and Christopher said, you must go. You have to go. You have a responsibility to go. And I did. And Naima was the one who was pushing. She'd already made the reservation. She said, oh, no, this is not even open for discussion. We are going to Minnesota. And so she and Charles went with me. I walked into her house, and I looked at her. And I wasn't there as Judge Hatchett. I wasn't there as her attorney. I was there as one black mama to another. And Hank...
You did that a lot, too, because you were back and forth. I mean, how many trips you made every week? Like every week you were in Minnesota.
I was in Minnesota. I was back and forth. I was there.
That's your commitment to commitment. It was deeper than just a case.
It was much deeper than a case. And when I held her that day and hugged her, and I looked at her and I said, this could have been my son. I never said that again, ever after that day. I always said, he was my son, right? And so what I said at the press conference that we had about that case was that I took it on because I have to be a voice for people whose voices are too often marginalized. And that I came because I really wanted to try to make a difference in this case. Now, what happened is that, Naima's the general and she makes everything just go like clockwork. President Obama was landing on Air Force One in Dallas because there had been police officers killed there. He literally called Glenda's mother as soon as he touched down, right before the press conference started. He did. He called her, right? Of course not.
Right.
But he called her, right? The news is covering him. They broke away to cover the press conference in front of the Capitol.
Wow.
Right? Now, I expected all the news outlets to send every single station outlet sent a national crew,
you did a great
including
job on
Fox.
That too. You did a great job on that piece too. You did a great job on that.
I wasn't playing with them.
Yeah, no, you were.
I wasn't playing with them. I wasn't playing with it because the story had to be told. Right. So the other piece of that is heartbreaking, but I feel very, very good about is that Loretta Lynch was Attorney General. She hadn't been in that position long. I sent her a 3-page letter. That's why it pays for people to believe that you tell the truth and that you have a little bit of credibility with folk, because she responded to that and cross-deputized the U.S. Attorney to try that case. That hardly ever happens, right? And people said, Judge, how'd you make that happen? And I just smiled, right? And you really think I'm just sitting here? You think I'm not doing things behind working?
And your name, you have a good name.
And and my daddy told me that. You got to protect your name.
You protect your name. And so your name allowed her to know, what I mean? It was some it was some credibility behind, it was credibility behind the name.
And so because of that, we got the feds involved, but also the Justice Department opened up a 3-year investigation of police stops in Minnesota. How many times do you think Philando was stopped? Well, because I've told you, but your audience doesn't know. And this not a big city like Atlanta or New York, a small little suburb, you've been stopped 52 times on police stops. Come on, Hank.
It's targeting him.
It's just targeting him. And the day that they stopped him, they said he had a broken tail light. He didn't have a broken tail light. There was no broken tail light. And viewers ought to go and pull up that tape. It's on my website, thehatchettfirm.com. You can pull it up of the dash cam. He murdered him. He murdered him. He wasn't doing anything wrong. He shouldn't have even been stopped that day. Less more targeted and less more shot. And so we have got to be vigilant. We have got to be vigilant, which is why I made the decision to step beyond the bench and to start a national law firm. I'm the only black woman in the country who has founded a national law firm, and I'm very proud of that.
You should be.
And so I'm trying to be a voice for people whose voices have been marginalized. My client out in DeKalb County is horribly beaten. Police was just indicted last week because we have been persistent about.
And your case number of wins has been amazing. They've been amazing. You're not losing cases, so they need to call you first.
I've never lost a case. Now I better not say that out loud.
That's my point.
But for for Delta Airlines or I've never lost a case.
Delta, and you were on the board. You have been on some amazing boards. I'm gonna run through because we're getting ready to try to go through the tour of the office.
Yes,
I'm gonna turn it just a little bit and add a little humor in it.
Okay, please.
Young and the Restless. You on?
I forgot about that.
What you doing on Young and the Restless?
Listen, and I don't even watch soap operas, right? I'm a news junkie. So they called.
I know. That's my point.
Exactly. So they called in the Sony studio when I was shooting the show. Said, "Okay, come on, Judge. You know they really want you to do this." I said, "I don't watch soap operas. So I don't know even what the Young and Restless is." And so he said, "Come on, do it. It'll be fun." So I mean, they were so tickled to have a real judge on the bench. But Hank, the crazy part about it is that apparently I didn't grant bond to somebody, right? And people were stopping me on the street.
They were mad.
People were angry with me. They were like, "Judge, you know that's not right. We always thought you were fair. You should have let him out on Judge." What? I mean, I was like,
Took it personal.
They took it personal. And then they were like, "Okay, Judge, so what's going to happen?" I said, "I don't know. I just knew the part that I was shooting that day." It was hilarious.
And that's
people all
crossover.
over the country.
And that was crossover. Was that like a crossover appeal
Oh
too?
my goodness.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. But you know, my court show, really a lot of crossover. A lot of crossover. I ain't been in a small town in Mississippi. Oh, come Judge, I love that show now.
You are amazing. I am so, thank you for giving me something I can't give you back, and that's your time. Thank you.
Oh my goodness.
Thank you for giving me
privilege,
that time to talk. I hate that I had a whole bunch of questions. I know
was that mean that you'll have me back?
No, we gotta have you back. We gotta have you back. But I really want to. I really want to do a tour.
I want you.
Your office is just amazing. It's a walk-in museum. It really is. I mean, even the conference room that we're in right now.
That's what it's designed to be.
And there's some pictures that I want you to kind of explain to us and give us a little bit more. Give us a little bit more of a history on that. So we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to walk through my Shero's office, and we're going to have an opportunity to get closer to some of the legal stories that influenced her and that moved her to be who she is today. Judge Glenda Hatchett. We'll be right back.
Next time on The It Factor.
All right. Well, Hank, I am most proud of this wall because I wanted to do something in tribute to the civil rights legal icons who have made it possible. And I'm very clear. I don't get it twisted. But for them, we wouldn't be here.
Thanks for watching. Go to aibtv.com/donate to support programming like this. Your contributions may be tax deductible.